Hi, welcome to Profiles. Our guest is musician Robert Jones. As singer, songwriter, theorist, and teacher, Bob has been involved in almost every aspect of the music business. His philosophy is summed up in 3 words: song is king. Please join us for an entertaining profile with Bob Jones. We'll be right back.
St. Vincent specialists performed the area's first balloon angio.
Arteries in the leg can now be opened using
corneal transplant at St. Vincent.
First hospital in the region treating disc problems with Chymopet.
It may be the smallest baby born in Erie this year.
Nerve deafness now being repaired with a new implant.
The area's first mobile MRI.
New clot-dissolving drug now being used at St. Vincent.
Traveled 8,000 miles to St. Vincent to learn the new plan.
First lithotripter in northwestern Pennsylvania.
One of a handful of hospitals in the world offering this level of electro.
Whatever happens next, chances are you'll find it here first.
Take a new look at the Holiday Inn in Jamestown. For 11 years, the Jamestown Holiday Inn has been a part of this community, committed to serving your needs. We take pride in your personal satisfaction. A prompt check-in, coordinating your banquet needs, enjoyable dining, and our VIP treatment, perfect for your next business conference. We are committed to you, the Holiday Inn in Jamestown, rediscovered again for the first time.
Welcome to Martin's Village Furniture. We're your area's leading upholstery showcase. We carry the largest selection of quality 8-way hand-tied coil spring sofas in the area by such fine names as Wesley Hall, Byrne, Mansfield, and Huntington House. Select from traditional, country, and contemporary styles, many and elegant decorative fabrics not seen elsewhere, and all at very affordable prices. For your living room or family room needs, visit the area's leading upholstery showcase, Martin's Village Furniture on Main Street in Sugar Grove.
I found a way to tell her. I found a way to let her know. It isn't easy when your heart is aching. It isn't easy to show. I think we'd better take it easy. It's been a rough and rocky road. I don't want to do you no harm. It might be better if you go. I've lived my life like a gypsy. The open road was my home. I spend my time in this mystery, looking for someone of my own. Oh, I think that we could make it happen. No broken promises, no end. Although I'm not exactly certain, I get this feeling that I can. I lived my life like a gypsy. The open road was my home. I spend my time in this mystery, looking for someone of my own. I think we'd better take it easy.
That was very nice. It sounds to me a little bit like a description of being a musician on the road a little bit, and then relationships. Is that incorrect? Or
no, that's correct.
Kind of.
That's very correct. It's, I don't know, I would have to say that it's someone who's searched for someone, and the search goes on, you know, and he's met someone. But you'll see in the lyric that he wants to commit, but the one line, although I'm not exactly certain, I get the feeling that I can. He's trying to be so careful as to not have to go through a relationship like previous relationships that he's had, and he really truly would like to have that meaningful relationship, but he's cautious.
It sounds like we can all relate to that.
Sure.
You know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in.
Sure.
We all relate to that.
Yeah.
Moving into your education, I wanted to hit on that first,
Okay.
because you are very disciplined. You're a very disciplined musician, a perfectionist, more or less.
That's because I would have to say there's one gentleman responsible for that type of discipline. And as I look at my education in music and understanding the theory and the operating formulas of it, he early on established, and Floyd Williams, by the way, he's a professor at Allegheny College in Meadville. I studied with him for a couple of years, and the guy was brutal. I mean, there were no second chances, and there is no excuse. You either do and become, or you never will be. And he played with Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, a lot of
the greats.
Yeah. And if I went to my instruction and I was not prepared, I was thrown out, asked to leave until I would get my mind right and come back and do what he knew and believed better than that I could do myself. And he instilled in me the importance of, if you're going to do it, be serious about it. Because that way you're utilizing the ability and the talent that God gave you to do that thing. And if you don't do it as well as possible, then you've, cheated yourself.
Well, especially in this particular industry, it's so competitive that if you don't take yourself seriously, I wouldn't imagine anybody else would. And also the thing about being ready for an audition or whatever, you have to be right on the mark. Otherwise, somebody else is going to get that role or whatever, or that gig. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
Seems like good preparation.
That's true, but I think you take yourself too serious sometimes too. And I think in the past I've been guilty of that.
Wow.
No, it's true. When you focus and become obsessive, compulsive about what you're trying to do because you want to do it well so bad, you can lose sight of the fun aspect, you see. And I'm of the opinion now, if it's not fun, if I have to leave the fun in it and make sure I'm enjoying myself, because that makes other people feel that.
Right.
Okay, and without that, it's more of a sterile feeling that people will get from the music that you play, I believe. And but with the fun in it, it's like you're having fun listening to some of this today, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sharing with you. I am not singing at you. I'm trying to share this song with you, and I think that makes a difference.
It comes across, definitely.
You participate as a listener. Yeah.
What I wanted to move into, and we're going to kind of have to touch a lot of bases because you have done so much. You were in a number of different bands, and one of the most successful being Cheeks.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of the groups that you actually toured with. Why don't you tell the audience some of those names?
Well, they weren't
pretty big names.
They weren't tours. They were like opening shots. When you get to a point, like if you're in a city like Columbus or Cleveland or a major city, and you become like the top local group, you're the one that gets the shots at opening for people that come through town. Occasionally that happens. And
excuse me, Bob, we've got to take a break, but we'll keep that in mind where we stopped, and we'll be right back, so please join us with more from Bob Jones. We'll be right back.
Do the job and get it done.
When it comes to dance lessons, go for the best right from the start. Former students of the Dance Conservatory have been lauded by members of national dance companies as being disciplined, well-trained, and serious students of dance. Start out on the right foot at the Dance Conservatory.
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What's new? My new 92 Celica.
And my 92 Paseo. My new Paseo started under $11,000.
It's unbelievable. On my 92 Celica, I got brand new option package savings. Plus a great price from my dealer.
We got a great value on a dependable car.
We saved big on our 92 Toyotas.
Hurry to your Toyota dealer and see what you can save.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We're here with Bob Jones, and before we got to the break, we were talking about Cheeks and some of the gigs you played. As far as you were mentioning that it's not necessarily a tour, but it's because you're the most popular band.
That's right. You get opening shots in halls of 3,000 people when new artists come through on their tour. Basically, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of musicians that were huge at the time. Boston was really an amazing experience. These guys, they had gotten so big so fast that they themselves would stand there and tell you they don't know how all this happened or whatever. But I had the opportunity to open for Ronnie Montrose, who was a guitarist that started with Edgar Winter and went on to put the Gamma Band together, which was a great rock and roll band. Marshall Tucker, Weather Report, believe me, what a mismatch that was. You know, we were, you know, right ahead rock and roll, and you know, they were sophisticated like jazz rock at the time. And those experiences have been invaluable to me. Now that I look back on them, I can see how being on the road, you know, and doing those types of shows requires a certain discipline. You have to stay healthy, and it's not a party, it's a business, you know. The art's still in your work, and that's not a business, it's your presentation. If you're lucky enough to be able to make it on your own ground and say what you want to say, you have to understand that once the music is recorded and, you know, put into the marketplace, that it's a business and you've got to pay attention. You can't party, you know, like that. They don't even want to talk to people today that use drugs or alcohol because it's, you know, passé.
That's changed a lot, and it's, you know, really positive for the entire industry. It's a good thing that's happened.
Yeah.
And you experienced some of the, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about, because you became rather famous so fast, that was an adjustment.
I wouldn't say famous. I wouldn't say famous.
Successful? Or?
Regionally popular, very popular in the Midwestern part of the country. Yeah, well, like I told you earlier, if you go from 4 greasy roadies in your dressing room to 40 people, and they're all hanging on, and they want to, you know, they're offering you this and offering you that, and it's all free. And when this happens on a regular basis for a long time, you lose your perspective. You start to believe that you are what they think you are, which you aren't. You know, you should be saying, okay, look, I've got some success here. I should, my foot, with my toes in the door. Let's keep my head on right and buckle down and work harder than ever before, because the real success wasn't at that level. It truly wasn't. It was only just like a marker point that you could move from. So.
But then after that point in time, somehow you came back to Jamestown.
I came back. I came back to Jamestown in 1982, and it was to recover from the abuses I had put myself through on the road for several years. And I came to one point where it was a frightening experience for the simple reason that I could have died from an overdose. And basically I came home to this area. I used to live in Warren and in Olean, but I came home. I knew a couple of guys that had opened a music store in Lakewood. And I came home to relax and heal and try and put some perspective back into who I am and what I do. And it's been good for me.
Well, you did that successfully also, because when you got back here, things started to happen. I mean, you didn't just stop. You, for instance, formed the group Blind Dog Walker.
Oh yeah, that was a band of musicians that we worked really well together, and I don't think people in the area had been exposed to the blues. Is in a resurgence right now, and we had 4 guys, and we got together as a group and equal members and worked out you know, a lot of blues tunes. It was on Mary Ellen. It was her fault. No, she said she loves the blues, and she said, and I hadn't played in a long time, you know what I mean? And the whole experience that I had gone through had left a bad taste in my mouth, and Blind Dog Walker kind of revitalized me as a player and a musician, and I really enjoyed it for that. Yeah, it was fun.
I heard you guys a number of times.
Oh,
you had quite a following. Yes, I did, and you guys were excellent.
It was fun.
It was very enjoyable.
It was fun.
And it was something different, too. It was you know, an offering of a different style of music than you normally get a lot of times out at, you know, the club thing.
Here there are very few hardcore like blues and R&B bands, I think, and the type of rhythms they present and the lyrical content has a lot to do with the way people listen. You know? There was one guy walking around, he was calling me Muddy Waters, because, you know, the white muddy waters, you know. Well, I can't, you know, get next to that, but people did appreciate it. And we had a great run as a band, and we did well. As a matter of fact,
what?
No, I mean,
okay, this is timely.
At the end of the month, on the 30th, of November, we're pulling it all back together for a performance down at the newly remodeled Stardust, where the band really took off to begin with. You owe me one, Tony. Basically, you know, it should be a good show. It'll be on the 30th, a Saturday night. Anybody that liked the band, come on out. Let's have a party, because we're going to throw a lot of blues at you. And I've got to tell you, I'm bringing in some friends of mine outside, you know, the guys that will be in the core band, like Linda West and Billy Ingersoll, and there'll be John Cross on horns, and Mike Mad Dog on the drums, and Paul Liuzzo is going to play some guitar and some bass that night. And geez, who else is going to come in? There's going to be a bunch
Guys
of people.
will be jamming.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
great.
you see, I couldn't do what I do here without the help of a lot of different people. You know, if I might thank a couple, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly may.
Oh, I'd like to say thanks to Chautauqua Music and John Davis, and I'd like to thank Marty of Sunholt Sound and Chautauqua Music for doing my work for me. He does a great job. He's the best there is in the area. And Carl Liddell, I'd like to thank for all the abuse he gives me when I go in there. But I mean, without it, it wouldn't be fun, you see.
Right.
And geez, Paul Liuzzo, John Cross, Linda West, Billy Ingersoll. I'm forgetting somebody. U.V. Stewart. Yeah, U.V. Stewart, the keyboard player that I work with a lot. He's not only a great musician, he is one of the most dependable friends I've ever known. On and on and on. I'm leaving somebody out, you know how that goes, right?
Right.
Mary Ellen I want to thank, because without her the boat doesn't float, you know, we go nowhere. She handles all aspects of advertising, business, and things of that nature.
Well, it's nice, you know, you recognize that, yes, it's an entire group effort, and that's the way things have to be done.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Count on each other. You need
just
each other.
because you stand out there at the microphone and you're doing all the singing and playing the solos does not mean that you are the show. It takes a team effort
Right.
in order to get the point across.
Would you like to play another tune for us?
Sure, I don't mind. This is part. I'll do some of it. How's that? And cut it a little short.
That sounds good.
This was recently written. This was written several months ago. I'm gonna break you down. Now I don't care how long it takes to make you see. I'm not fooling around. I've got this feeling this is something meant to be. I find myself rearranging everything I do. As time goes by, I see the same things keep on shining through. Now I don't have all the answers, and I'm not always right. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah, I'll try to break you down. Now I don't care how long it takes to make you see. I'm not fooling around. That's just a part of one. It's called Break You Down. I mean, it's much longer than that, but I just thought, you know.
Thank
for
you
the
very
sake of-
much.
sake
That
of
was
time.
very nice.
And Gypsy, the first song that I played for you, is recent also. As a writer, I think for myself, see, you know, everybody's different, you know. And what happens to me generally is I'll hear a melody, and then the melody has to be set to music. I can't do it the other way around. It doesn't. I don't function well that way. I can sit down and write a lyric, and probably write a decent lyric, but I just, without the melody, putting that lyric to the chords or coming up with the chords, it feels sterile and square. So it's basically, it's got to come down to the melody, and then the guitar, and then the lyric, for me.
Well, it works.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it. I hope other
Thank
people
you.
do too.
And I'm sure the audience will. We've got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Good grief! Not to worry, Big Brother. I thought you liked Linus. Oh, I do. But he's so clever. I'm sure he has auto insurance from Metropolitan. But how do you know? I have every Vince and my sweet baboo.
Of course I have Metropolitan Insurance, but I'm not her sweet baboo.
Sometimes he's all business.
Get Met, it pays.
Excellent. Wow, that was excellent. That was excellent. That was motivational. It really gets you going.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not one I play early in the morning, I'll tell you that.
Maybe you should. It's very complicated. It seemed to be.
To you?
I mean, yes, to me, right.
I think what the complication in the piece is the actual, the accuracy that it requires, and sometimes I'm not as accurate as I just was, and sometimes I'm a little more accurate than that, actually. Mm-hmm. But that's a fun piece, and whomever I've ever played that for has been moved by it.
Has a good time
Yeah,
with
sure. It's fun. It doesn't have a title. I got to come up with one. Anybody know anything? Send in your suggestions. Send them to her house.
Send them to Paragon Cable. You know, I wanted to touch while we're, just discussing that piece, your philosophy about music a little bit, because you said something interesting, or I read something that you had said, and it was that in today's music I hear a lot of frustration being reflected. And I thought that was so right on target. I really,
Socially, if you look at music, if you go back to the type of chords that were used in the 1800s and the 1700s, and then move it into the 30s and 40s in the jazz areas, and you start to hear chords like, instead of a sweet, straight major chord, well, I'm out of tune for this. I have another guitar here, hold on.
Just one of many.
So instead of like a straight G or a D, you start to hear, hear the tension in that, as opposed to a straight.
Right.
Okay, so I really think that if you knew, you could see that the way chords have developed over time, that socially, music reflects the technology of the time and the social behavior and the feelings. Sure, it does. I can't listen to thrash music because it makes me crazy. I don't want to be crazy anymore. I've already been crazy. You know what I'm saying?
It does me too, though. It really does.
And I was brought up in an era where blues musicians and the Beatles and melodic type of things were happening. I guess that has a lot to do with it too.
Mm-hmm. I want to jump right from one thing to the next, and I apologize for that, but we're limited in time.
I know.
You do a lot of benefit work and very interesting stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, generally, if it's for something that's worthwhile, I'll try and be there for it. I think the benefit that I'm most proud of, and I don't want to even be proud of it because it shouldn't have had to happen in the first place, was the Laurie Madison benefit. A friend of mine who I used to have a lot of fun with in conversation and a couple of drinks when I was drinking, which I'm not anymore, but yeah, it's what happened to her is a tragedy, and I can't understand how this can be allowed to happen. And then you see other people commit crimes and they walk. This is a horrible crime, and the system is confused. She is a beautiful human being and her life has been taken away, and nothing has been done about it. There's something wrong with the laws on the books. Let's get them fixed, because it could have been my kid, could have been your mother, you know, and what's right is right. Her life has been removed and taken away, and I think that the people that are responsible should pay an equal price.
You also did some work with Amica?
Amici.
Amica.
Yeah, for the battering and rape of women and children and men. Now that does happen. That, you know, we're admitting to those things now. But yeah, I'm a kid person. It's like Amici, Cancer Society, the Resource Center, and right now I'm active with MDA. And but I only do that because in my heart it helps kids, and you know, I have this special place for kids in my heart. And I have kids of my own, and they light up my life. That's the truth.
Twins?
So I like helping kids because they're innocent. They are only what we put into them. If we program them improperly, and I don't mean to use program as a sterile term, but it's what goes in is, you know, important. And people put a lot of junk in kids' heads that, you know, I don't agree with.
You're doing a lot of good work, and for the community, throughout the community. It's appreciated.
Occasionally, yeah. If something comes along, I like to participate if it helps somebody.
Let's talk about your album that you're putting together right now, labeled Isolation.
That's right. As I was saying earlier, that it's tough in this area because of the size of the community to put together and maintain an act of musicians. Being in a smaller area, you don't have that pool of talent to draw from. Now, I'm saying that there are some great players here and some great songwriters, and I could go on and on and on, and great bands, as we all know. But I feel kind of isolated because I don't seem to be able to maintain an act at a level that I would like to maintain. And so it just dawned on me that you know, in that sense, I'm somewhat isolated, and that what I should do is try and
put it on.
I would like to try and work out and focus on my songs, you know, and do it from that standpoint, you know.
Right. We've got to wrap it up, and once again, you will be playing November 30th?
Yeah, with the Blind Dogs down at the Stardust, the newly remodeled Stardust, the hottest club in town. Be there or be square, because we are going to have one heck of a good time, and we've got a lot of special guests coming in, and we've all gotten together and decided to do this.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun.
I've had a lot of fun, too.
Well, thanks.
Really.
And thank you for watching. Please join us again for another edition of Profiles.
When you volunteer for Compeer, you have to be a friend to a fragile person. A person who's receiving therapy but still feels alone, like no one is there and nobody cares. So when you're there, for 1 hour every week, you can bring a fragile person something beautiful, a real friend. If you can give 1 hour a week, be a good egg. Call Compeer.